Everybody. So in this video, we're going to focus on lymph nodes. There's a lot of information here, right? So for the purposes of this video, please focus on gathering that general understanding of what lymph nodes do. And then from there, we can go into more specific details of how they work, right? So let's just start off with what are lymph nodes, right? Um, Lymph nodes, their main job is that they contain these phagocytic cells that are going to be used to help filter the lymph fluid as it passes through. There are multiple fibers all throughout the lymph nodes that are going to trap the bacteria that get into there. Um, but from there, there are different macrophages and lymphocytes, if you remember from the white blood cells from last chapter, these are going to be hanging out inside of the lymph nodes. And once the bacteria get filtered and get stuck in those fibers, those macrophages can and lymphocytes can do their jobs in helping to engulf or destroy the bacteria. Found inside the lymph nodes are these specialized bands of connective tissue, and these are called trabeculae, which you'll see in a picture in the next slide. You're going to see the different vessels, the afferent vessels that bring the fluid into the nodes, and the efferent that bring it out. Right? These are terms that we saw before in the nervous system, but if it helps, a way to remember it, A is the first letter of the alphabet, so it's the beginning. This brings the fluid in, so afferent brings in, and efferent, it starts with an E, just like exit. So these are going to help bring it out. So again, just ways to help you remember some of these terms, so there's less information that you have to deal with. There's also the germinal layer of the nodules, and these are going to have the lymphocytes that we talked about. These lymphocytes are going to be able to last for a long time, and a lot of times have to do with your acquired immunity. So once you fight off an infection, you create these lymphocytes that can stay in there for a long time. So that way, if these bacteria come back in the future, your body has a way to fight them off because they already have done it before. So here's an image of everything we just talked about, right? So we have the afferent lymph vessels. The lymph is going to enter, right? And once it enters, we're going to have those macrophages and dendritic cells that are going to initiate that immune response. Specifically, there are there's a couple of major regions here, but we'll start off with the outer cortex of the nodules. So the outer cortex is going to have B cells, B cell lymphocytes specifically, to help fight off whatever's in there. And as you go deeper, you're going to have T cell lymphocytes. And the deepest part is the medulla, or medulla, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But the medulla is going to have different cords inside it that are going to primarily consist of those B cell lymphocytes. So again, all these lymphocytes are found inside of the nodes and are used to help destroy or break down bacteria that enter. So once that fluid comes in, it's going to circulate. I know this is not the best picture, but just to give you an idea, it's going to circulate in here, and then eventually it's going to leave. Right, so the fluid comes in, interacts with the different parts of the lymph node, and then from there interact with various macrophages, dendritic cells, and lymphocytes that will help to really remove whatever bacteria or pathogen entered. This is part of the reason why, if you ever have swollen lymph nodes, it's because those cells are doing their job and they go through the inflammatory process and they start to break down and destroy whatever pathogens in your body. So sometimes, like we said before, inflammation is one of the key things that happens when your body fights off something that gets inside your body, right? So pathogens are usually fought off with that inflammation. And therefore, if you have all these white blood cells hanging out inside of your lymph nodes and they're all fighting an infection at one time, it's going to cause inflammation. And this is why your lymph nodes can become inflamed. Here's another image that explains what we just talked about. So at this time, if you have any questions, please just let me know.